Philip, it's really nice to be here in Cape Town again and to see you.
Yes, lovely to see you again as well.
Yeah, are you well?
Can't complain.
Good. Now, Philip, we wanted to know a little bit about what you've been up to and, what Little Angels is all about. So could you start off by maybe telling us a bit about you and your background and how you've come to be doing this fantastic work?
I myself come from a banking background. I was born and bred in Cape Town and started working for a bank, and I continued in banking circles until 2001. And in 2001 I joined my wife Pat, who had been a house mother or a housewife most of her life, married life, and we went full-time into Little Angels. We started Little Angels in 1997, having read quite a bit about abandonment and abuse of babies and toddlers, and felt that we wanted to do something. So we went through all the necessary screening processes with government departments, and eventually we got registered as what they call a place of safety.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 1997, and at the time HIV and AIDS was becoming quite a big thing in South Africa, and there were very few couples who were prepared to take those cases in, where we were quite happy to do so. So we became very busy in a short space of time, and it wasn't long when Pat was getting quite a few inquiries from people to come and do interviews and to come and do talks, and it got to the point where by 2001 we'd already had about 50 babies in our care, and she couldn't cope alone. And that is when I took an early retirement package from the bank and went into it full time. So I'm coming out of an old banking environment into full-time daycare at home, which was for me quite a shift in my life. But Pat helped me through that transition because she's a born and bred mother.
Yeah.
She really shines.
There were a lot of children, babies being abandoned with
Yes.
problems, and there was a need to do something with them. What happened to them before?
Well, before that we heard that most of them were ending up in hospitals and in fact dying. There were a couple of places of safety already established and a few children's homes, but because of the HIV aspect, the volume of children being abandoned rocketed, and Cape Town couldn't cope. And it was only through people like ourselves and gradually more and more private individuals who came on board to help that we could try and make some kind of a difference.
Okay. So these children get abandoned. What do you do with them?
They are found in all sorts of horrible places, black bags, in drains, locked up in cupboards. So what happens is 9 times out of 10 they will be brought to us by police who find them, or social workers who they've been taken to, and then they'll bring them to us, and we will take them into our home and love them and cuddle them and feed them and bath them as if they are our own children.
Okay, but there's so many of these children. What's the exit game here?
The idea is to try and get them well, and when they are well, to try and get them into long-term foster care, or to have them reunited with family as soon as possible. It normally takes anything up to about 6 months for the investigative work to be done, and we then take it from there. The majority they do find homes for. I would say that probably about 60% of the babies who have passed through us have been adopted. The remainder, dependent upon their cases, will either end up in an institution of some kind, if they were bad abuse cases, or if they had special needs or medical needs, and the remainder usually go into foster care.
So you're involved with arranging that foster care?
We don't arrange it ourselves, we merely give the home support, and it's up to the social workers to do all the investigative work.
Right. And afterwards, when these children move out, do you maintain contact? Do you look after them in any way?
For some of them we do. We have about 25 families that we continue to support at the moment, coming out of children that were with us previously. But the children who were adopted, we see a few of them from time to time, but most of them go their own way.
Okay. So what do these families need that you can provide?
All sorts of things. We are constantly looking for things like food, clothing, to a degree toys. When we have special occasions like Easter, we look for Easter eggs. Christmas time, we're looking for little useful packs that we can give them, toothbrushes and toothpaste and soap and face cloth, the things that would make up a useful gift bag, and then we put a toy or two in as well for the little ones, and any household goods. We have numerous families in very poor conditions, and very often their dwellings are burning to the ground, and we then try and make an effort to gather things to refurbish their home.
It sounds like if you received anything, you could find a home for it.
Absolutely.
Right, fantastic. Now we've managed to bring a few little items to you over the years.
Yes.
When we bring you a small bag of clothes, what do you do with them?
Well, the first thing we do is we sort them into gender and age, and then we make up parcels and we deliver them to the projects that we support. At the moment we have just on 14 projects that we support, and the majority of them are between Cape Town and a place called Lambert's Bay up the west coast of South Africa. It's about 5 hours drive away, and between here and there are a number of squatter camps, soup kitchens, feeding schemes, and creches who look after toddlers and little babies. And these are typically the type of people that we are supporting.
So you will always be able to distribute anything you get?
Anything we can get.
And how do you get it out there? Do you have your own vehicles?
We have one vehicle at the moment. Until 2 years ago you would have seen excuse me, until 2 years ago you would have seen the microbus that we had. It died last year.
Oh, sorry.
So at the moment we just have the little Avanza, and we have a trailer. So we use it. Unfortunately, it has a very small motor. So we have to take it slow, but it does the work.
All right. So you need the transport to get the stuff out there.
Yes.
But it's difficult at the moment?
It's quite difficult. We are bombarded with stuff locally, and we've actually had to add on 2 sheds to our property to use for storage, interim storage and sorting as we get the stuff in. And one of our challenges delivering the stuff is, of course, the fuel cost. So when we have sufficient money to do a trip, we try to do one trip per quarter to all the projects and deliver the stuff.
So what would a trip cost?
A trip typically now costs 1,400 rand, a return trip.
Okay, so that's just over £100, isn't it?
But £100, but in rand,
That's a lot.
for us it's a lot of money.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I can go out for dinner for £100.
No, well, for £100 I can drive all the way to Lambert's Bay and back. That's about 10 hours
Okay.
return trip.
And that makes a big difference to a lot of people.
It makes a huge difference. We've actually just come back today from one of our trips, and when we unloaded we managed to buy Easter eggs for a creche and an old age home who are linked. And when we started unpacking the car there, the matron who runs the old age home was there helping us, and she was actually weeping when she saw the stuff that we were able to bring to them. It wasn't just toys and Easter eggs. We had quite a few canned foods for them, tea and coffee and sugar, basic stuff, but stuff that they find very difficult to get hold of because they're in a rural area and they get no help from their communities. They're very poor.
So, I mean, trying to put this into context, sounds like a little bit goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So, if I had £10 in my pocket and gave you it now, so that's just over 100 rand, what would you put it towards today?
Well, today I would put it towards perishable foods that we could buy for the soup kitchens.
And if you had more money, say we were, won the lottery or whatever, let's say we went up to 10 times that and it was like £1,000, so 10,000 rand or something. What would you do with that money?
Well, that would also go into perishable and non-perishable foods, and it would help us to make a few trips.
Okay, so
it would
sounds
go
like there's a
towards
real need
transport.
just to provide basic stuff
It is.
immediately, and that's pretty unending.
It is a huge need.
Okay.
And quite honestly, we haven't touched the tip of the iceberg where we are operating at the moment. We have a lady who coordinates the projects that we support, and she has a list of projects that she wants us to become involved with, but we have to take it slowly because we can't make that many trips. Sheer cost prohibits these trips. They also try and help transport as well, but there's a limit to the number of trips that we can make.
So you think if you could raise money for getting another vehicle, how much of a difference would that make to you?
It would make an incredible difference. In fact, that is our life's blood, is a decent vehicle that can carry the weight of the stuff that we have to transport.
Okay, so you've got these daycare centres that are, I've
Yes,
seen,
yes.
that are often very crowded.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about the day centres. Why are they there and why are they needed?
Right, we have been involved in this community where this daycare is at the moment. We've been involved in the community for about 10 years. And we've always seen a need for daycare for mothers who are desperately trying to get out and find work, but they're hamstrung because they have little children at home that they have to look after, and they don't have wider family who are able to help them, and neighbours want to charge them a fee if they babysit. So after a lot of thought, we decided to open a daycare centre here and offer the community a place where we can get their little ones off the street in a safe, clean environment and look after their children while they go out and find work. It's been working quite well now. We've been up and running for 2 years, and we can see ourselves. It's made a major difference in their lives. We've had many mothers who have been able to find work and had their children cared for. What we do here is we provide, besides safe daycare, we give them breakfast in the mornings when they arrive, and we give them a lunch. And for that, we need basic foodstuffs, tinned foods, bread, butter, that sort of thing, spreads, jams, peanut butter, that kind of thing. And then we need toiletries and nappies. And we also keep quite a bit of clothing here as well, in case they have accidents during the day and need a change of clothing. We also need typical household things like washing powder and soap and what have you to do the laundry of the bedding, and a bit of money to be able to cover the cost of the house mother who runs the facility for us. And then we need volunteers to supplement hands-on help.
Now, when I was last here, I saw a young child who'd been abandoned by its mother, I think a drug addict.
Yes.
And you had gone to extraordinary lengths to trace down who the mother was, reunite them, look after that child in your day centre.
Yes.
Is that a common situation?
It is quite common. Unfortunately, this community is a centre almost for the distribution of one particular drug, which is very addictive. It is called TIK, T-I-K. It's manufactured here in this community, and the use is widespread. And alcoholism is also a huge issue here in this community. So we do our level best to try and get the little ones out of that environment.
So, Phil, I've seen a lot of disabled children come through your hands here just on my one or two brief visits. And quite remarkable what you've been able to do. Maybe you can just share with us the sort of things that you've been able to achieve in the last few years with those children who otherwise would undoubtedly have died, within days of their abandonment.
Most of the special needs babies that we've had, we have managed to find long-term foster care for them. In fact, 2 of them we have managed to have adopted, which is quite unusual. Because unfortunately in South Africa people are very touchy when it comes to adoptions. They all want blonde hair and blue eyes and the most beautiful babies. So it is quite a challenge to get them adopted, but as I say, 2 were adopted with special needs. The others have gone into institutions where they are geared to look after those cases, like the cerebral palsy cases. Unfortunately, our little girl with the hydrocephalus passed away 2 years ago.
But you managed to give her, some quality of life, didn't you, for some time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I remember Pat being absolutely attached to her, and it was just,
Sorry,
wonderful child.
I get a bit emotional over that one.
Sure, and I remember her well. She was lovely. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, tell us a bit more about Cape Town, because a lot of people from outside view Cape Town as this wonderful city to visit, beautiful and fantastic. What's it like for the average person who lives here?
The average person, I think, they love it here, but sometimes they take the beauty around them for granted. And I also think that it can be quite a challenge, because I truly feel that our infrastructure as far as roads and transport and public transport I'm talking about, and roads and power supply leaves a lot to be desired. But the sheer beauty of Cape Town and its surrounds makes up for that by far. It really
you just need to drive in from the airport and you see, struggling to keep up with the people arriving from around Africa is Is it a big problem with the people arriving in Cape Town?
We are getting huge influx of Africans from other nations, particularly Zimbabwe, a lot from Central Africa. But
the proximity here of wealth and people like you means we have a fantastic opportunity to help them, don't we?
Absolutely. And here on our own doorstep we have huge townships crying out for help. We have quite a few projects in what we call the Cape Flats, which is a huge, a vast expanse of people from the airport coming up through to the southern suburbs of Cape Town, who are all, many of them in dire needs. There are amongst them, there are wealthy people, but the majority of them in the so-called townships are also in dire need.
So do you go in there and provide goods?
We have quite a few projects there that we support as well. We're tending to focus more lately on the rural projects, purely because some of the local township folk are quite well supported by tourists who come in and do so-called township tours. So quite a bit of money is coming in through that. We have chosen to start swinging towards the rural areas because that's
where the need is, huh?
The need there is absolutely basic and enormous.
So getting transport and petrol vehicles absolutely crucial to making a difference to the people who need it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Phillip, thank you so much for your time. Okay.
No, not at
please
all.
Please keep up the fantastic work, and we'll try and spread the word a little, because it sounds like a little bit of a donation goes an awful long way. There are not too many projects I know of where a tiny bit of effort's going to make such a big difference. And can I just say thank you on behalf of so many people who've heard about you, and send their best wishes, and keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you, Andrew, and to all your supporters as well, who continue through the years to send clothing and equipment with you. Really a huge thank you to them, because without their help we cannot help anybody else.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much. What I would like to do, please, is take a minute to say thank you to all the people who are associated with Andy, all the wonderful people over in the United Kingdom who are so far removed from us and yet take the time and the trouble to gather goods for us. Everything that is gathered we pass on to other people, and it is making a huge difference to many, many lives. And for that we, Pat and I, say thank you so much.